here. Today I'd like to talk about Cabbages and Kings. Cabbages and Kings is a 360 card cube with a simple restriction that all the cards of 4 mana and below are old school cards that are printed before Scourge and before, and 5 mana and up are a bunch of nasty, stupid cards that I hate. And the idea was, how do these two things play together? We get a lot of talk on the Discord and online and Reddit and Twitch and Twitter and all those other places that cubes should be balanced things. And I think maybe they shouldn't. So anyways, how does all that work? How does that restriction work? Well, as you know, the old school cards are not very powerful. So we had a little house rule here that if all the cards you draft are old border, your minimum deck size is 30. That means you can make some spicy little combinations that are more reliable. What the heck is with the title? Well, the title is from Lewis Carroll's poem, The Walrus and the Carpenter, which I think is sort of an allegory for how capitalism and money and propaganda shape our lives and trick us and eventually devour us. And I think it was also sort of inspired by, unfortunately, the opening monologue of Matt Damon in Dogma. And you can look that up on your own. I don't endorse that movie, but I do like the critique of Lewis Carroll's work in that opening monologue. Anyways, all that is to say, I also built this cube because I just read Playing Oppression. This has a really great way of tying together violence and colonialism and how it's just the de facto way that we think about games. And so, what better way to make that a real thing than experimenting with a high power delta and where you get to play the part of the oppressor or the rebellion. Gosh, I just finished Andor and I love that show and I'm feeling the vibes here. This cube stresses me out, and I think I'm too far down in the weeds to really understand what's going on. But let's take another look at some of the cards. So, for instance, the Kings are, terrible, terrible people. Kenrith is a terrible person. Ancient Brass Dragon, absolutely broken. Dance with Calamity, Mindslaver, Backdraft Hellkite, AO. There are a few, not very many, ways of cheating them into play, ramping them out, those kinds of things. Sneak Attack comes up quite a bit in King decks. Grindstone as an absolutely gross thing to do to a beautiful Cabbage deck of only 30 cards, and so on and so on. So that's a good example of a King deck. Oh, Atelio. A Cabbage deck kind of looks like, you got to do what you got to do. Beloved Chapman Pariah, let's get a little pillow fort going on there. Winter Orb, you know what I'm saying? Lock them out before they can get the mana together. And just, here, Luigi, let's go. Chain of Vapor, there's some, there, hey, Solitary Visionary. Control Magic, just steal the king. If a King deck plays against a Cabbage deck, clearly, we have a lot of emotion and we want the underdog to win. And so if the Cabbage deck does beat a King deck, good for you. Awesome. You are a part of the revolution. You're doing great. If a Cabbage deck plays against another Cabbage deck, I just tell people, like, hey, if you win against another Cabbage deck, I guess you get to decide some kind of like cultural thing. You're like, hey, I think I say that what's a cultural thing? Sports bad. There you go. You get to decide something that only matters to the working class. And then, of course, if kings fight kings, that's just like corporate merger of BS. And sure, I could do prizes and things like that, but it's the feeling, like, who are you when you play a King deck? Are you going to be a cool person, or are you going to be a total D-bag? There are nothing but nasty kings. And then, of course, let's take a little think about how dorks work. A bunch of traitors, in my opinion. Because what are they here for? They're just ramping stuff out. Yeah, go find a king in their deck and pull it out so you don't have to worry about it. I would do this to Kenrith in a second. There's a bunch of cards that are just good against kings. Here's a feel bad card, like a crazy feel bad card. Actually, you want to talk about feel bad? Oh man, I'll show you a feel bad. There's a feel bad. This happened in the last time we played. Somebody did smokestack chamber manipulation. Now that's a terrible game of Magic right there. But you know what? That's kind of what this is about. This Cabbages and Kings is not. It's not an escape, folks. Like, this is obviously about the modern age. We're talking environmental destruction, Armageddon. We're talking stacks, the government just taking over your life and ruining it. We're talking about stasis. We're talking about prison. We're talking about gulags, man. So yeah, I want you to play this game, but also remember that we're out here living, and maybe we shouldn't be playing cardboard in a basement. Maybe we should be out there in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So get your 30 together and get out there, and then maybe play this cube with me.